is a methodical, deliberate campaign to destroy Iran's missile and drone arsenal, its ability to manufacture them in the future, to ever have nuclear weapons, or to threaten the Strait of Hormuz. And President Trump has been crystal clear: we will not allow a radical, revolutionary regime in Iran to threaten one of the world's most strategic and vital waterways.
Breaking news: President Donald Trump has told Axios that the conflict with Iran will end soon. His exact reasoning is as direct as it is devastating for the Iranian regime. There is practically nothing left to target. That statement, coming from the commander-in-chief of the most powerful military force in human history in the middle of an active war, is not a diplomatic signal. It is not a negotiating tactic. It is a battlefield assessment, and it is backed by numbers that speak for themselves. More than 60 Iranian ships destroyed since the start of Operation Epic Fury, thousands of targets struck across Iran, an entire Iranian air force wiped out on the ground before a single jet could take off, underground missile complexes demolished, police command centers dismantled, nuclear facilities neutralized, the security infrastructure of the Islamic Republic being taken apart piece by piece, day by day, strike by strike. But even as the end of this war comes into view, Iran is not going quietly. Iranian-backed militias fired 6 drones at a U.S. diplomatic hub near Baghdad's airport. U.S. bases across the Gulf region were targeted. And on the diplomatic front, Turkish President Erdogan is warning that the global economy is dangerously close to turmoil. The war is entering its final phase, and tonight we have the full picture. I'm Hannah Blake. This is Global News Diary. Let's get into it. President Trump's statement to Axios marks a significant moment in this conflict because it is the first time the commander-in-chief has publicly signaled that the end of active military operations is within reach. The message was precise and unambiguous. The conflict with Iran will end soon. The reason: there is practically nothing left to target inside the Iranian regime's military infrastructure. That assessment is not bluster. It is grounded in a military campaign that has systematically eliminated every major category of Iranian military power in a remarkably compressed time frame. The numbers from U.S. Central Command tell the story clearly. More than 60 Iranian ships have been taken out of action since the operation began. Iran's ballistic missile launch rates have collapsed by nearly 90% from where they were on day one. An entire class of Iranian surface warships has been completely eliminated. Underground missile complexes have been struck. Ballistic missile manufacturing facilities have been bombed, not just to destroy existing weapons, but to ensure Iran cannot rebuild its arsenal in the future. Senator Tom Cotton, chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, appeared on air to reinforce the president's assessment and describe what the classified briefings are actually showing. This is a methodical, deliberate campaign, Cotton said, designed to destroy Iran's missile and drone arsenal, eliminate its ability to manufacture those weapons going forward, permanently deny Iran nuclear weapons, and remove the threat to the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump, he added, has been crystal clear: the United States will not allow the radical revolutionary regime in Iran to threaten one of the world's most strategic and vital waterways. The objectives are being met, the end is approaching, and the president has said so publicly. To understand the full weight of President Trump's statement, it helps to understand exactly what the United States and Israel have destroyed over the course of this campaign, because the scale of the military achievement is unlike anything seen in modern warfare at this pace. Start with the Air Force. Satellite imagery released in recent days showed Iranian fighter jets sitting on runways, not in hardened shelters, not dispersed across multiple bases, but lined up in the open, apparently caught off guard by the speed and precision of the opening strikes. The before and after imagery is stark. Before, rows of aircraft, fueled and theoretically ready. After, scorched, twisted wreckage. Every visible jet eliminated before a single one could get airborne in meaningful numbers. A retired Navy SEAL with direct knowledge of these types of operations described what the imagery represents in military terms. This campaign began as what he called a classic joint suppression and paralysis sequence, a simultaneous coordinated strike designed to overwhelm an adversary's ability to respond before it can even process what is happening. It has now moved into a second phase, systematic attrition through kill chain operations. That means combining intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance with precision strikes and real-time battle damage assessment across multiple operational layers simultaneously. In plain language, the U.S. and Israeli militaries are finding targets, striking them with precision, immediately assessing the damage, and cycling back to find the next target, continuously around the clock across every domain of Iranian military power at once. The Navy is gone. The Air Force is destroyed. The missile manufacturing capacity is being dismantled. The command and communications infrastructure that allows a military to function as a coordinated force is being systematically severed. Underground facilities that Iran spent years and billions of dollars building to survive exactly this kind of campaign are being penetrated by munitions specifically designed to reach them. When President Trump says there is practically nothing left to target, this is what he means. Not that Iran has been lightly damaged, that Iran's military has been structurally dismantled. Even as the end of this conflict comes into view, Iran is demonstrating that a regime with almost nothing left can still cause serious harm. In the past 24 hours alone, the conflict has seen a sharp escalation in Iranian proxy activity across the region. Iranian-backed militias launched 6 drones at a U.S. diplomatic hub located near Baghdad's international airport in Iraq. That is a direct attack on American diplomatic personnel and infrastructure, not a military base, but a hub where American diplomats and support staff operate. Additional U.S. bases across Gulf region countries were also targeted in the same operational window. Iran's strategy at this stage appears to be widening the geographic scope of the conflict, using its network of proxy militias across Iraq, Yemen, Syria, and Lebanon to open as many fronts as possible simultaneously, hoping to stretch American and Israeli resources and generate enough pressure on U.S. allies in the region to force diplomatic intervention. There was also a drone attack on a Kurdish Iranian base inside Iran itself, a sign that the conflict is producing internal fractures within Iranian territory, not just external military pressure. The United States is not ignoring these threats. A U.S. Patriot air defense system was observed being positioned in southeastern Turkey today, placed near a major American airbase in an area that military analysts describe as particularly vulnerable given the current threat environment. The Patriot system is one of the most capable ground-based air defense platforms in the world, and its deployment to that location signals that American commanders are taking the expanded threat picture seriously. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan entered the conversation from a different angle, suggesting that there remains a chance for diplomacy to resolve the conflict while simultaneously acknowledging that the regional and global economy is dangerously close to serious disruption. Erdogan's remarks position Turkey as a potential mediating party, though what form that mediation might take and whether either side has any interest in it at this stage remains unclear. Even as the air campaign dominates the operational picture, a new dimension of this conflict is coming into focus, one that involves America's most elite military personnel. President Trump has made clear he is not afraid to use special operations forces when circumstances demand it. His administration already deployed special forces in Venezuela in what officials described as an extremely successful operation. The question now being raised is whether they might be deployed in Iran, specifically to secure critical infrastructure or, most significantly, to secure nuclear material. The retired Navy SEAL who appeared on air addressed this directly. He was clear about what a potential deployment would and would not look like. It would not be a large-scale ground invasion. Trump has been explicit about that. What is being discussed is something far more targeted, limited special operations missions with specific high-value objectives that cannot be achieved from altitude with a precision bomb, but that could be achieved by a small team of highly trained operators moving fast on the ground. The SEAL described the mindset of those operators with precision. The nerves are real, the anxiety is real, but so is the sense of purpose. These are commandos and hunters. They know the history of Iran. They know that American soldiers have been dying at Iranian hands, directly and through proxies for over 4 decades. From the 1983 Beirut barracks bombing to the Iranian-made explosive devices that killed Americans in Iraq, to the 7 service members killed in Operation Epic Fury, the debt is real and enormous. This generation of operators, the SEAL said, feels a sense of pride in being called to address what previous generations could not resolve. They are ready. Here is today's question, and it is one of the most consequential of this entire conflict. President Trump says the Iran conflict will end soon because there is practically nothing left to target. Do you think this war ends with a formal agreement, or does it simply end when Iran no longer has the capability to fight? And what does a post-war Middle East actually look like? Drop your answer in the comments below. This community consistently brings the most informed perspective on international affairs anywhere on this platform. The best responses get featured in our next video. If this breakdown gave you the full picture on one of the most significant moments in this conflict, hit that like button right now. 2 seconds. That is all it takes to help this channel reach people who deserve to understand what is happening. Subscribe if you are not already here. We are covering every major development in this war, every presidential statement, every CENTCOM update, every strategic shift, with the depth and context the story demands. Turn on notifications. This situation is moving fast. When the next major development breaks, and it will, you will want to be the first to know. Share this video, send it to someone who is watching the news and still trying to make sense of all of this. This is the breakdown they need. I'm Hannah Blake. This is Global News Diary. We will be back the moment this story develops further. Stay sharp, stay informed.